This is Truth Between the Lines. I'm coming in at a completely different time than I typically do for these channels, but there's so much happening. There's so much happening right now in the country, the United States, of course, because we do talk to a whole bunch of other people from around the world. But I'm looking at this thing. There is headline after headline happening right now. It is pretty amazing. And I'm going to give it a minute here to just check in, make sure everything gets all cleared up. Bear with me here. I want to check my sound, make sure I'm all good. The lighting is all right. I'm not happy with it, but that's okay. There we go. Why is that not happening? Weird. Give me another minute here and I'll check in and get everything happening. Video is saying that it's on. But where are you? Well, obviously, we'll wait for a few other people to jump in here too as well. See who's actually paying attention on Thursday afternoon. Because why not? Okay. Very cool. With so much happening in the news right now, I felt compelled to come on here. And I still think it all comes back to, the orange man bad. There's so many people that are just absolutely against whatever President Donald Trump does. And it's sad overall, just because of TDS, Trump derangement syndrome, which really is an actual thing. It has been proven. People keep saying, no, it's not a thing. That's just another excuse for MAGA people to think something. But no, it's completely real. So I wanted to read for you a letter to the editor, and then we'll kind of jump into the meat of what I want to talk about today. But this is kind of the thing that gets people going. Let's just put it that way. But Trump shamelessly markets the office for his own benefit. It is hard to focus on any one thing that Trump is obsessive about, except they all revolve around money and power for himself. He is obsessive about spending billions of dollars on hiring mask gun-toting thugs to harass, deport, jail, enter homes of, even kill citizen and non-citizen alike. The major portion of those folks are hardworking and tax-paying. It's hard to read. They are not criminals and rapists. Okay, sure. They are friends and neighbors. He seems to have forgotten that 2 of his 3 wives would have fallen into the first-generation immigrant category and also spoke with foreign accents. He is spending billions on his vanity projects, throwing a low tennis parade, planning a big arch with his name, tearing up the Rose Garden, destroying the historic East Wing, renaming for himself ships and art centers, changing the name of the Department of Defense and the Gulf of Mexico, building a gold-embossed huge ballroom, and in quotes, how often will it be used for wealthy 1,000 people at taxpayers' expense, unquote. Redecorating the once handsome Oval Office in gold, putting a gold toilet in the bathroom of the Lincoln bedroom. It goes on and on. That's actually written in the paper. Not only is he lavishly spending our tax money, but he is making millions by selling his gold-colored sneakers, Bibles, watches, steaks, T-shirts, cologne, earbuds. Once again, the list goes on and on. He has no shame and activity markets his presidential fame. How does he have time to govern the country? Oh, right. He appoints unqualified people to do that. Their only qualification is their ability to bend their knee and declare their loyalty, not to the U.S. Constitution, but to him. Okay. Please, Congress, Supreme Court, local legislators, put an end to this fascist regime. Minnesota, Maine, and other states are trying to fight back with protests and whistles. Who among us are not immigrants? Do we have any allies worldwide? He has destroyed trade and goodwill with all of our past allies and friends. Our best trading partners have gone elsewhere. And guess which country is suffering? The USA has lost tourism, farm income, major manufacturing, small businesses that depend on imports. But most importantly, we are losing our democracy. This is from Candy Wansley of Knoxville, zip code 37919. Okay, well, how cute. Isn't that cute? God, they did. I mean, I'll give her credit. She packed a whole lot of words into this thing. What they actually mean, that's kind of the question I'm looking at. That I love how spending billions of dollars on hiring mass gun-toting thugs. Okay, yeah, that's not a thing, but all right, sounds good. I mean, billions, but it's called law enforcement. I'm sorry. Let's see what else. Taxpaying, they are not criminals and rapists. Well, actually, that's what they're going after. I mean, if you look at what's happening right now, that's exactly what they're going after. Billions on vanity projects, throwing a low attendance parade. Come on. Hey, I could go through this point by point, rip it apart, and just absolutely go with it. But the important thing is, which I didn't realize, that Donald Trump is selling sneakers. I had no idea. I didn't know he's selling Bibles. I didn't know he's selling watches. Didn't know steaks, t-shirts, cologne, or earbuds. I had no idea he was selling that stuff. So if someone could put a link in the chat and let me know like where he's selling that stuff, that would be cool. I'm sure he is. I mean, I'm not saying he's not. I'm just saying in general, like I didn't know he was. So I wouldn't mind getting myself some of that. There is a bunch of Trump stores, I know, in certain places, like actually like the Trump store and things that sell all kinds of stuff, memorabilia, trinkets, tchotchkes, everything else. So it's funny, but trade worldwide and everything else. So I don't know. We're looking at all the different things. Captain America is gay. You know what? Actually, you know, the sad thing about that, you're actually kind of somewhat correct, because Marvel, in the wokeness of Marvel owned by Disney now, is actually going to make Captain America possibly gay. That was one of the things. Now, whether that happens or not, I don't know. But yeah. So anyway, hey, welcome to the Jack Booth. Anyway, real Noah, welcome to the chat. Hello, good, welcome guys. I'm just getting started, so if you guys are here for the first time, please check in. Let me know about where you're from too. Just a state or country, whatever else, just helps me with what I know, what's happening. But I will be reading some of the reports because I kind of just want to go through these. I was going to do individual shorts. I was going to do a longer video and that kind of thing, but I figured, hey, let's go live on a Thursday afternoon and see what happens. So here we are. All right. Let me read this other report about how horrible. Now that I've read that newspaper article about how horrible Trump is, let's talk about the actual blockbuster jobs report that just came out. It surpasses the expectations, over 170,000 private sector jobs. So this is from Treasury Secretary Bassett, emphasizing the reprivatization of the American economy. He added 130,000 jobs in January, signaling the labor market is healthier than economists had feared following a number of recent gloomy reports. But Wednesday's figure, this is yesterday, from the Bureau of Labor Statistics was almost double the 68,000 anticipated by economists polled by Bloomberg, and well above the downwardly revised 48,000 added the previous month. Pretty crazy. The job sectors are going up that high. I mean, congratulations, basically, the private sector in general, non-governmental jobs. But January's non-farm payrolls were up by 130,000 versus 68,000, which was expected, with upward revisions and the strongest 3-month trend since early of last year. All right, one other thing Bassett said was, thanks to President Trump's tax deals, trade deals, and peace deals, our nation's economy continues to boom and is the best is yet to come. So I don't know, put it in the chat. Let me know what you think about that. What do you think about the job sector? Because in a minute, we're going to talk about federal jobs and how they've gone down. But that's kind of the interesting thing, where if you're any kind of libertarian at all, which means a smaller government, this is the news that you want to hear. So here is the second headline that comes right after the one about private sector jobs going up. Federal jobs numbers at lowest since 1966. Yes, 1966. Pretty crazy. Federal employment dropped to 2,686,000 in January 2026, according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. Now, 1966 was Lyndon B. Johnson was the president back then. But the Bureau's all employees federal series confirms that we have not seen staffing levels this low since May of 1966. 322,000 federal employees left the government workforce during the first year after Trump returned to office. Now, I'm all for less government control, less taxpayer money going to government employees. And I'm all for privatization of jobs. I mean, I'd rather have a strong private sector being able to pay taxes and do a whole bunch of stuff in there that will help the economy of the United States. Now, everybody can say, oh, well, those 322,000 people, they left, but I mean, look at that number. You don't know if they retired, which happened. Attrition happens. You don't know if they decided to quit the government to go out on a private job and get a better job somewhere else. So you can't just look at, 322,000 people, left or quit. They maybe just went to some better pasture somewhere else. So it's really important to look at how all these statistics come out. But the fact that we have 2,686,000 people in January 2026, how much taxpayer money do we save by losing 322,000? And that's the question. I mean, that's the overall thing. It's really a number you really can't talk about because you just don't know. But that is the ultimate thing right there. If we can get less taxpayer-funded government, more privatization in our jobs, we're all the better for it. So it goes back to that whole article that I read in the beginning about, oh, look, he's doing all these things. People can't. World trade has been destroyed with goodwill and our past allies. Lost tourism, farm income, major manufacturing, small business that depend on imports, most importantly. So this goes to tell you the private sector is doing just fine. So there you go, that point. But we hit 10 minutes. You guys are here for the first time. Please like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Just trying to check out what's going on in the world. Obviously, too, when you check in the chat, let me know where you're from. That way I can kind of just gauge where you're at. Don't need specifics. Just want to know. But here's another headline. Well, I should say another headline that came out after this, too, is that violent crime is down. Homicides down 19%. And the question mark is why? Why could it be down? So going back to the thing where this article in the beginning, like I said, Trump is spending $1 billion in order to hire gun-toting thugs to harass, deport, jail, enter homes of. Well, you know what? Violent crime is down. So I'm not sure what I like better. Illegal immigrants coming into this city or this United States and doing a whole bunch of things that they shouldn't be doing, or I like the fact that violent crime is down and I feel safer in my neighborhood, my own hometown. So that's where ultimately I am at with this, but this is it. So let's go for it. This is the report from the Major Cities Chiefs Association, the MCCA. This is shows declines across every major violent crime category in 2025 compared to 2024. 67 of the nation's biggest police departments, and confirms other studies on last year's decline. So they're also saying, hey, this is working. Cities report that homicides overall fell 19%, robberies dropped about 20%, aggravated assaults were down nearly 10%. But why, they ask, of course, and Axios in this whole report never once mentioned the word immigration in their analysis. Could it be the fact that President Trump spent billions of dollars hiring mass gun-toting thugs in order to bring down the crime rate? I mean, you got people, these are obviously not criminals and rapists, according to Candy Wansley, but they are friends and neighbors. But I guess there couldn't be a correlation there of actually locking people up, putting them in prison and jail, or deporting them. No relation, no nothing at all to anything. So there is that. All right. So I'm going to keep that going on that side of it too as well. Now, here's the other weird thing about this. With all this good news that I just brought up, all the different things that I just said, including the bad things, the blockbuster jobs coming in the private sector, public sector going down, the government approaches another partial shutdown. Wow, fantastic. So this is this Friday, it's basically tomorrow. But Friday's funding deadline could shutter the Department of Homeland Security. What's the worst that could happen if we shutter the Department of Homeland Security? But ultimately, this is going to hurt the people that are traveling. Because TSA, the Transportation Security Administration, that's who is going to be hurt by this. So the TSA came out and they offered a blunt reminder of what a protracted DHS shutdown would mean for air travel. Most TSA officers would remain on the job, unpaid, protecting more than 430 commercial airports nationwide. Wow. And then 12 weeks later, some are just recovering from the financial impact of the 43-day shutdown they had before. So if you're traveling, flying anywhere, in or out of the country, down the street, it doesn't matter. You're going to be affected by the shutdown if that's the case. Because if you take away the Department of Homeland Security, yeah, that's an ultimate problem. But hey, with all the other good news we just talked about, that's what they're worried about. They're worried about the Department of Homeland Security and funding that. Everything else is funded. ICE is funded until 2029. So that's off the table. I'm just really curious where the Democrats are going to come out in this whole grand scheme at the end as well. But all right. But one thing I did want to talk about, and maybe we're the reason that the whole government is holding up everything, is the Safeguard Act, the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act, or the SAVE Act, which is the common vernacular of that, though. So if you're not familiar with this and what's happening with it, but this is a bill aimed at tightening voter registration rules for federal elections. Its core requirement is that individuals must provide documentary proof of U.S. citizenship, such as a passport, birth certificate paired with photo ID or certain other specified documents, when they are registering to vote or updating their registration. So this is when they're actually registering to vote, not when they're actually voting. So you have time. Like, it's one of those things where people are like, oh, I won't be able to vote. No, you won't be able to register to vote if you're an idiot and don't have a photo ID. Now, okay, I'm getting off track. I mean, go through my notes here because I wrote this whole thing out. But proponents argue this prevents non-citizen voting, enhances election integrity, and ensures only eligible citizens participate. Critics contend it creates unnecessary barriers, potentially disenfranchising millions of eligible voters who lack easy access to these documents. Notice the keyword easy on that. Especially, oh, by the way, especially people of color, married women who've changed names, young voters, elderly individuals, low-income citizens, and naturalized citizens. They note non-citizen voting is already illegal and extremely rare, with studies showing minimal instances. Yeah, well, you know, a lot of the stuff coming in election in 2020 is already out, and more is coming out as it's being released, which is very interesting. But it's a matter of if mainstream media will actually believe it, and if it will be sent out to other people as well. But right now, though, the momentum has shifted to updated or expanded versions of the bill, which is what we're seeing. So Republicans pushed forward the Save America Act, sometimes referred to as Save Act 2.0, which builds on the original by adding stricter nationwide photo ID requirements for casting ballots, limits on mail-in voting in some proposals, and other provisions like voter roll purges and data sharing with federal agencies. This version passed yesterday, February 11th. So depending on when you're actually watching this, but it was February 11th. It was a vote of 218 to 213, basically along party lines. So this is the whole thing where the tribalistic of it. And if you're a Democrat, you vote one way. If you're a Republican, you vote one other way. Don't even worry about your voters or about America at all. Just go along party lines and do that. But so this whole thing. But this is the key step towards secure elections ahead of the upcoming midterms. The outlook, though, in the Senate remains challenging. The bill now heads there, but it faces significant hurdles, a potential filibuster, concerns about some moderate Republicans about the implementation burden on states, lack of Democratic support, and opposition from voting rights advocates, warning of disproportionate impacts of vulnerable groups. Now, I'm thinking if you're a Republican and you're sitting there and you're even thinking about not passing this or voting for it, I mean, unless you live in like a really, really swing area, there's no coming back from that. I mean, if you don't vote for the SAVE Act, I don't care who you are. I really don't care what the excuses are behind the whole thing. If you don't vote for this, that's going to be a big bullseye in your back the next time you're coming up for election. And you know, people aren't going to forget that at all. This is why, though, elections matter. The tribalistic divide of Dems and Republicans and the whole orange man bad is ridiculous. So I don't think that anyone in their right mind, though, really thinks that minorities are too dumb to get a voter ID. That whole thing to me, I mean, they need to ask themselves, what is best for the country? What is overall the best? But this is the way to grab and hold power. It doesn't benefit the U.S. to not have these laws. If voting results were 100% accurate, everyone would agree the numbers don't lie, that the result is right and just, but playing games with the country just so you can retain power isn't a good way to govern. Now, again, I write this stuff, but at the same time, I always think in my head, I get ahead of myself and go forward with it. But so just let you know on that one. But I mean, the fact that this is they're coming out saying, especially people of color, married women who've changed names, young voters, and elderly individuals, low-income citizens, naturalized. I'm looking at myself like young voters. You love getting an ID. You sign up to be the vote basically the day you get your license, or at least when you turn 18. You can easily get it there at colleges. There's a whole mess of people trying to bring in young voters. So the fact that they wouldn't be able to register, that's stupid. That's just stupid. People of color, well, again, you're calling people of color stupid. Married women who've changed names. Well, I know plenty of people, including my wife, who've changed their names. Their documentation is center top of mind. It's not like me where, hell, I haven't looked at it in 48 years, but my wife, you know, once she got married, it was pretty easy to do everything over that way, to switch over once it was all done. It was hard to switch over her name. I know that, going through that personally with her, but at the same time, it wasn't hard. You just had to go through the motions to do it. But low income citizens, yeah. And I'm wondering, like, I love to see the Democrats going tent to tent in all of their tent cities and being like, hey, are you registered to vote? Can I see some ID right now? And that person's like, who the hell vote? We talk about voting. I'm worried about eating and where I'm going to sleep tonight when it gets cold. That's what low income citizens are worried about. But and that's the thing. You don't even say homeless on that thing. But elderly individuals, yeah, I mean, you got a lot of hoarders and everything else. But I guarantee if they voted all their life, they know exactly where their ID is. So that's it. That's my that's my little update. I mean, you got Pam Bondi right now. She's going through Congress. She's getting yelled at. She's yelling back, which is funny. But that's all on the Epstein. I truly believe right now, Epstein is a smokescreen for other stuff happening. If you really look at the whole thing, yes, Epstein was absolutely a horrible man. But if Biden would have released this stuff, you would have heard about it. If Trump was in there. We know Trump's not in there or at least not Trump in a bad way is in there. But it's like all these names coming out. It is absolutely smokescreen. And I think that people are either going to get tired of it and they've moved on. Some people were asking me about why commentators aren't talking about it, especially conservative commentators. And I kind of didn't know, but I thought more and more about it. I think it's because people are tired of it. They're tired of talking about it. And everything that comes out, redacted or not, there's just stuff going on. Now, the rumor that I heard, this is from a private citizen person, nothing to do with anything online or anything else, but we were just talking. And the question came up and it was like, I wonder if the Epstein files are actually more than what we think it is. Because we're always thinking it's Democrats, it's Republicans. But what about the rest of the people in the world? What about all of the other governments around the world? Could it be a possibility that if all of the Epstein files are released, it could bring down other governments? I want you to think about that. I'm going to take that pause. We already know that one of the princes or whatever or something from England, I forget, but I should know that. I'm sorry, but they were in that in the Epstein files. That kind of ruined that whole everything about it. Let's put it that way. But could it be other countries as well? Could it be other world leaders that are in this thing? Could it be? I don't want to name names, but you put in the names. You put in the names in the chat. And let me know who you think could be in there too. But that's what I'm wondering, because if it was mudslinging to the various degree of mudslinging, it would be the Democrats would have said, hey, all these Republicans are in the file. It would have been the Republicans saying all these Democrats are in the file. Now, we know they're all friends. We know everybody up in the Washington is pretty much, overall, it's the club of high society. But there's still somebody, there's got to be an outlier out there somewhere that's going to release this information if there was information. And that's my key. That's my key. That's what I don't understand what's happening on the whole thing. But anyway, put it in the comments. Let me know what you think. If you're here for the first time just watching this video, please like and subscribe. I kind of just go on here and do a bunch of different things. Either just do shorts, videos, or go live. I try and go live a couple times a night. I just happen to be jumping on today just because I got so much on my plate. I just had to get out here and talk about it. So if you like what I'm saying, great. If you don't like it, keep scrolling. I don't care. Anyway, put the comments in there too. I always like those. I had one person I did a video the other day about how great the United States is. And I keep getting these comments about how horrible the United States is. And I'm like, cool. Don't come here. Just, stay in your own home country. Stay wherever you're from. Great. Move on. Thank you for not bothering us anymore over here in our horrible country. And of course, they continue to move that conversation. So I know they live in the United States. They're just too chicken to leave. They're going to talk bad about something while they still live here. But anyway, I'm digressing. So that's my report for today. It's, take it for what it is. Put it in the chat. If you want to hear something else going on, you want to talk, let me know. And then I would love to hear the feedback on that one too. So anyway, as I always say, that's the truth between lines. All right. So that, if you're still alive, if you're one of the people on here still alive on a Thursday afternoon, I was doing a totally different video for overall. So please check in, make sure I know you're still here, and that count's never right. I'm going to reach over real quick. Actually, you know what I'll probably do? Can I do that? Can I just do that? Yep. All right. I just wanted to go across the table there and see my armpits as I lean across, but want to take off the video of the whole thing because I'll put that video up later on. I'll add a few things too. I'll add some of the icons behind me, but that's kind of the whole thing on there. So please check in. Chat's been really quiet, which again, I wasn't sure who I was going to be talking to on a Thursday afternoon. So that's completely fine. If that's the case, no one's even here. The count says 3, but I don't know. They haven't heard from anybody yet. And since the beginning of hours. So, but if you are here for the first time and you don't want to put it in the chat, that's cool. Just go ahead and like and subscribe. We're hitting 25 minutes and I don't know. We'll see what happens. There's, like I said, there's so much information, 24/7 newscast that if you don't jump on these things right away, I mean, hell, I could report this all tomorrow and be completely different. So that's the interesting thing. But hold on a minute real quick. All right, sorry again. There is so much going on right now. There is absolutely phenomenal. I got to make sure I write myself a note, but there is so much happening in the world, including the local stuff too, as well, which is funny. But I don't know. Again, I want to check and make sure I'm still. All right, sorry again. You know, it's weird the delay too. If you look at that, because I'm on Restream, I'm using Restream, and it must be. God, man, I tell you, it must be a long lag time behind there. So if you're putting stuff in the chat or whatever too, there might be a huge lag on before what I'm actually saying, and I might even moved on to a different subject. But that's kind of it. There we go. Hey, Braveheart, welcome to the chat. The United States is the best country in the world. That's why everybody wants to come here, and that's why most of the countries in the world speak English is because of the United States. There you go. See, that's a great comment. Thank you, Braveheart. Of course, I don't know. I gotta kind of say that though. English though actually was United Kingdom in England. So I'm just saying. But I love the energy on that one. But yeah, although the dollar though, you could throw that in there too. I mean, the fact that the majority of countries in the world are on some kind of dollar standard, including the petrodollars too. That is a big thing. So. Welcome to the chat. Good day. Where are you from, Braveheart? Just curious. Like, just give me a state. I assuming you're in the United States. Just give me a state. But. And I'm not sure how long you've been on this thing or whatever, but it's good to have somebody actually interact for once. I typically go on at night, usually between the hours of like 6, 7, or 8 o'clock. And, that's a lively discussion, but, again, I wanted to just kind of come on here and just jump on this for a second and figure this all out. But anyway, it's good to be out there. And, I'm going to turn this off. I'll probably go watch some of the, stuff about the Clintons, probably go watch Pam Bondi. I mean, there's all kinds of activities going on the legislative hill right now. It is crazy what's happening overall, but yeah. But you see headlines like that, though. You see letters to the editor of people that are absolutely just crazy, and it's good news. It's good news all around. Upstate New York. Okay, I like how you said upstate because, of course, you don't want to be related to maybe New York City, but okay, can I ask you a question, Braveheart? Is that okay? Hopefully that's all right if I ask you a question about that. But New York City being the largest city in the country, do you feel like that's the tail wagging the dog because you got the entire state? And really, I mean, if you have anybody moving around at all, is the entire state eclipsed by the number of voters that are in New York City? So anyway, thanks for the subscription. I appreciate that. That's cool. Yeah. Is that it? You think so? Yeah, that's got to be tough. That's got to be really tough. Because I've been in upstate New York. I've been all around there, Great Lakes and stuff. And man, it's a pretty country, or pretty part of the country. But at the same time, you really have no vote. And I did a story yesterday. It was about Oregon. If you watch some of my shorts, you watch this thing on Oregon. There's a whole report. Oregon has a group of animal rights activists working hard to get a radical ballot measure on the November 2026 ballot in order to outlaw basically cruelty towards animals. And what is cruelty? Cruelty is actually like hunting and fishing, harvesting deer, trapping for fur, or wildlife management, slaughtering cattle for beef, or even controlling rodents. Like that's what they're trying to pass. And I'm looking at like, this is Oregon. Like remember Oregon Trail and the New Frontier and everything else happening. this is all Eugene and Portland wagging the whole tail of the whole thing. And that's the problem I'm looking at it's crazy in Oregon. And I figured, New York's about the same. So upstate is red. New York City is the turd that comes out of the dog. So it's not the tail wagging the dog. It's actually the turd coming out of the dog. That's funny. That's good. So yeah, but I read reports like this and I'm like, what the heck are you doing on there? How is Oregon going to do that? But they need 117,000 signatures. They have by July, they already have 90,000 signatures on it already. So, I mean, as they get closer, more people are going to jump on board of this. I mean, who knows if it's going to actually pass, but could you imagine if you're living in East Oregon, Northeast, whatever, and I mean, you decide you can't hunt? Like, that's to me, no, that's crazy to me how that would play out. But that's what's happening. That's what's happening right now. The left just wants to have all control, because basically if you can't hunt, you can't do all that stuff, then you can't own a gun, because why would you want to? Because guns are just simply for hunting, which is horrible, and they're going to outlaw that. But self-defense doesn't matter, because you can always just call a police officer. Hope you can hear my sarcasm in my voice. Or you're all going to go vegan, because even slaughtering cattle for beef is going to be outlawed. So basically you can't have any farms or anything at all. Oregon's very blue. I don't know if I think it's just this. Well, the problem is that everybody lives on the west side, on the water side. Like there's no, as far as what I know about Oregon, there's not a whole lot of big towns east, and that's the overall problem about it. But looking at that though, I still couldn't imagine that passing. Or the governor even passing that as well. You have to sign off on that. But to me, that's what they're doing right now. Oh, man, it's interesting. But anyway, hey, we're hitting 31 minutes here. Braveheart, it's been fun talking. I think I'm going to check off just because I got a few things to do, but I wanted to come on here and do that. Like I said, I usually go on at night. I had no idea who's going to be on here in the afternoon. So anyway, thanks. I appreciate you coming on. God bless you. And then if you have anything else, put it in the comments, put it in the chat. Let me know what you think. If you have anything else, you want a topic you want me to talk about too or investigate,